Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We'll just give a few seconds for others to join us and make a start. Tim, what should we talk about while we wait? What's the weather like in where
the
you
weather,
are?
yeah, it's grey.
That's the best thing.
It's
yeah,
grey and wintry, UK standard, obviously. It's probably more interesting if Nikos talks about the weather in Athens.
Here, it's mixed feelings. One day is closer to London. The next day, it's warmer. Depends. There are mood swings.
An unusual experience in Athens where it was this sort of time of year, maybe a bit later, and it was too warm. It was like 20 degrees, and everybody was saying, "No, we can't put our Christmas decorations up." And it was just
it's too early for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
We can't start Christmas. It's too hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make a start. We've seen quite a few people joining us now. So thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Welcome to our webinar talking about strengthening collections in the cost of living crisis. And we've got two colleagues with us here from Qualco who are going to tell us some tactics that they've been helping clients with to address these problems. So my name is Ford Mir and I'm head of advisory at Arum. And Tim, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi all, thank you very much for attending today. My name is Tim Graham. I'm a senior solution design consultant working with Qualco Technology. My role is spreads across the sales cycles and the early stages of delivery. But just to wrap it, my role is to provide appropriate solutions to our clients. I've been working with software solutions for more than 20 years. I know that's probably something you can't believe, but just to hit that home, I'm 53 tomorrow. I've been working with debt collection solutions for the past 15 years, and I've been working with Qualco for the past 4. And just to introduce Qualco and give you a bit of background as to who we are. We've been providing software solutions for 25 years. We have 90 clients across 35 countries. Qualco's analytics-driven fintech solutions span across the credit life cycle through loan originations, loan management, debt collections and recoveries, panel management, analytics, decisioning, digital engagement, and supply chain finance.
Thanks, Tim. Nikos, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Nick Kanellopoulos. My background revolves mostly around banking and fintech. I joined Qualco back in 2020 as a business analyst, working with our flagship product, Qualco Collections and Recoveries. And 1.5 years back, I transitioned to solution design, where I'm responsible for all AI, digital, and analytics initiatives of the department, trying to bring them to life by bundling them into solutions that drive operational efficiency for our clients. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nikos. And the reason we're having this conversation today is because Qualco are one of our Arum approved system vendors. For those of you who are not aware, Arum is a scheme where we evaluate various collection systems across the market and give feedback to vendors, but also if they pass our criteria, which is at last count has more than 180 different data points, then they get our coveted Arum approved badge. So wear it with pride. There you go, guys. Right. Okay. I'll be talking to the guys today about some of the ways in which they're helping their clients deal with the cost of living crisis, but we're really interested in hearing your views as well. So please use the Q&A tab which you see on the top of your screen to ask any questions that you'd like me to put to Tim and to Nikos. We'll also be running some polls during the session, so please do respond to those as well. We are really interested in what you think and about what the guys are saying and things that are of interest to you that you want them to talk about as well. Okay, right. Tim, let me start with you. So I think as individuals, we've all dealt with or faced different challenges in regarding to cost of living over the past few years, certainly since the pandemic. From your client's point of view, how are you supporting your clients to deal with some of those challenges?
So we've got a number of focuses that we've started initiatives around internally within Qualco to try and deliver to our clients' needs and also their customers. So we've got sort of 3 focus statements that we'll look at today. The first is how can we put our solutions in the hands of our clients as cheaply and as quickly as possible. How can our solutions drive operational efficiency into our clients? And how can end customers engage with our clients in the most efficient way through our solutions? So the reasons we're focused on those is if we take the borrower as an example, they're going to be experiencing diminished disposable income. Their household bills are rising, which might be driving more of an increase in borrowing from their perspective, which then has a knock-on effect to increase risk of debt accruing. From the lender's perspective, we all experience this. Operational costs are rising, just like our household bills. That's driving a reduced ability to invest in technology. So that's then having a knock-on effect whereby they're probably in a bit of a quandary where they probably need to invest in some technology to handle things like the rise in financially vulnerable borrowers. So there's a bit of a mix there as to what's happening. So where that takes us is, I'm just going to share a slide very quickly just to bring this to life. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to introduce the solutions that we'll look at today and to validate where we're going with the discussions, I'd like to introduce our agentless collections capabilities, which utilizes AI to reduce call center pressures and ease sensitive discussions with customers. The second item on the list is the accelerator, which is an approach to stand up our flagship debt collection solution, QCR, Qualco Collections and Recoveries, as quickly as possible and at the lowest cost we can achieve. And then we've got Cube, which is a decisioning platform, which is driven by machine learning and advanced analytics to drive in predictive decisioning into your collections function.
Okay, great. Look forward to talking about those. I can certainly sort of relate to what you were saying around, the challenges that borrowers are facing. I was involved in some conferences earlier in the last few weeks and lots of new research coming out that certainly here in the UK, and I know we've got some colleagues from across Europe here, that debts are not only increasing, or debtors are increasing, but actually the volume of debt of those debtors are also increasing as well. So certainly for some borrowers, they are certainly finding it more difficult now, and that clearly creates some challenges for lenders. I'm going to launch a poll at the minute, just so to get some views from colleagues. While we do that, Nikos, handing over to you, tell us a bit more about agentless collections. What is it and how does it work?
So as we have already started facing the compounding effects of the major macroeconomic factors that Tim also introduced, we've noticed a real shift in how we need to handle customer collections from an engagement and interaction point of view. So to introduce you to our take on this challenge and how we think of it, can you see my screen?
Yeah, that's good.
That's perfect. So what we did is we tried to develop a solution that not only tackles current collections challenges heads on, but is also incredibly easy to implement and offers the quickest operational costs reduction from day one. Now, the whole concept and the core innovation lies in end-to-end automation of customer interactions, managing both campaign-driven responses, but also spontaneous customer inquiries, which in my opinion is a crucial capability given the rising volume of financial hardship cases. Now, we put customers in the driver's seat by offering them the autonomy they need, which means that they can manage their debt repayment at their own convenience with flexible options that match both their circumstances and profiles. And what really makes this work, in our opinion, is the focus on engagement. Based on our expertise, we found out that when you personalize the experience, customers are much more likely to engage and pay. And also, a personalized engagement is strongly correlated with our customers' willingness to pay, which is the key driver of collection rates. And lastly, we also want a solution that's seamlessly integratable with the existing tech ecosystems of our clients while bringing the most added value for them. So that's agentless in a nutshell.
Yeah, That's good. I mean, certainly when we talk to our clients, I think automation is something that's really important to them and something that they're interested in. If I was one of your clients, what kind of benefits would I see if I was using your agentless collections solutions?
Yes, I think that's the most important question. And let me walk you through the key benefits that really make the solution stand out. So first off, we have AI doing the heavy lifting on routine tasks. This means that human agents can really focus on what they do best, which is handling complex situations that really need that human touch. Speaking of handling volume, we've built this for scale, so it can handle very high volumes of interactions and can be scaled based on demand. Now, where it gets interesting is that our AI solution keeps learning and evolving, which means that it can adapt to how our customers interact, getting smarter with every conversation. And this intelligence allows us to move away from a one-size-fits-all, creating a personalized recovery journey tailored to each customer's specific situation. Its implementation is, of course, streamlined and efficient. The solution can plug right into what our clients already have, and we can notice the difference right away. And by difference, looking at tangible results, we'll notice cost savings from day one, minimal setup costs, but also, and most importantly, no long waiting periods to see that return on investment. Now, building on this technology, the backbone of the solution is natural language understanding, which allows the solution to understand payment behavior. So it can assess in real time who's likely to pay and when, or in other words, our customers' propensity to pay. And this helps our clients make smarter decisions about collection strategies. Lastly, and to kind of tie it all together, and in my opinion, this is a big one, we're giving customers control. So they can manage their accounts 24/7, get instant answers to their questions from their preferred communication channel without waiting around, because at the end of the day, happy customers are more likely to pay, right?
Yeah. Nikos, in terms of the using the solution, is this targeted to a certain type of your clients, or can all your clients use this?
So it can be tailored to any needs, but it can address any inbound customer interactions. So it can easily automate the lump sum of interactions while allowing us to focus on more complex cases and reduce our operational costs as well.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Just to highlight up to the audience, please, if you do have any questions, use the Q&A buttons to submit your questions. Tim, let's talk a bit about sort of your accelerator solution. Now, let me see if I can get the technology working. I've got a video to share, which I think our audience might be interested in, and let me see if that works. Great. Now, if I wasn't on the call, I'd be up dancing to that because I think it's dance music, right? But anyway, there you go. That'd be dad dancing. It wouldn't be, anything worth writing about, certainly. That was a nice video. Tim, tell us a bit more about Accelerator. What is it?
So the Accelerator is really Qualco finding the ability to stand up their flagship collections and recovery platform, Qualco Collections and Recovery, as quickly as possible, but with as low cost to the client as we can make it. I think the key point is we're not compromising on the standard capabilities of the solution. They're all available. This is more the process of delivering and how we can stand it up as quickly as possible. What we've also done is used our extensive expertise and experience in the debt collection space to configure capabilities and predefine what we can without over-engineering. So the sorts of things we put in the box are, we've actually targeted an audience with this first QCR accelerator, which is for unsecured consumer lenders, so focusing on personal loans, credit cards, overdraft accounts. We've tailored the solution to early arrears, so 0 to 90 days past due. We've pre-configured the segmentation model, so that automates how your portfolio is segmented to the right place within the solution, and then is pushed towards a relevant treatment within the solution, which again we predefined at least the stubs that are in place. And also we're utilizing our suite of standard integration mechanisms to be able to have your collection system talking to its complementary systems that sit on your landscape.
Okay, great. So if I understand that correctly, it's about sort of implementing your full QCR solution, but in a much more accelerated way, hence the term accelerator.
Yes, standing it up as quickly as possible, getting it into the client's hands and allowing them to see the full benefits of QCR in essence.
And again, is that sort of aimed at certain types of clients, or can all clients use that?
The system is still fully extendable. So we've had to define a target audience. So we've said it's unsecured consumer lenders, but to extend beyond that into secured debt or SME type debt is just within the parameterization suite. So there's no lockdown. I've worked with solutions that have tried to achieve quick delivery. And what's happened is they've locked down the capabilities, or they've customized something. The migration path has then been diminished. This isn't that. This is the full QCR suite available to our clients, but in a packaged way that we can stand up very quickly.
Okay, I've just launched another poll just to ask our audience what they think, how important speed of implementation is. Certainly, when we're speaking to clients, it's something that comes up quite often. So in terms of that speed, so what difference does that make then? I mean, me being able to implement something quickly as opposed to a bit longer, what kind of difference does that make, and how does that help people deal with this sort of challenge of reducing cost during this cost of living crisis?
Well, let me share. We can just walk through a journey. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just walk through the concept in a bit more depth. So what we're proposing with this solution is to deliver the accelerator in a total of 17 weeks, a go live point at 13 weeks. What we've got on the screen is really a comparison between our traditional QCR delivery, which we often see falls between 6 and 7 months to deliver, and then return on investment is somewhere well beyond that. What we believe the accelerator is going to do is provide you with a stood-up solution within slightly above 3 months. But because it's cheaper and you're seeing the full benefits, automation and those sorts of things, you're then able to see the return on investment very quickly, and we predict that it's around the 8-month mark. The way we're achieving this is really the solution requires some flexibility from the clients in terms of we expect some adoption rather than adapting the solution to specific processes or how you work now. The predefined capabilities are obviously best practice, so that's what drives that message. There's an increased focus on the client owning the solution and becoming self-sufficient. So we've developed a full program of education to be able to put the power in the client's hands, whereas today they might be reliant on their software vendor or an IT department. That's not what this solution needs. It's got a studio that hangs off it, so the intent is for the client to own this. So we will focus on playing back the solution and educating on what's in the box, and then that reduces effort on analysis and documentation, which you would see in the traditional approach of implementing QCR. And obviously that's driving into a guaranteed level of bottom line benefits. So I think the main points here are quick return on investment, short delivery, full capabilities within the solution.
Okay, great. So if that's not clear, what we're saying is that a typical QCR implementation might take sort of 4 to 5 months, right? Or perhaps even longer. 7 to 8.
6 to 7 months, 4 to 5 months before you start to recognise the return on investment. Yeah,
and with Accelerator, that timeline is shortening, so that you're implementing it perhaps within 3 months or 17 weeks there. Correct. So basically, you start seeing those benefits sooner rather than later, right?
Correct. Okay. Yes.
Right. And in terms of the points you were saying around sort of handing more ownership over to clients, what does that mean for them in practice? What kind of things would they be doing differently or the same, perhaps, if with Accelerator that might be or not be doing with a full implementation?
So I think what we recognise with our often with clients that we work with is that they're heavily reliant on IT making changes to the solution, whereas they want control over a collection system. Or QCR as a standard approach allows that. So we've taken that approach, built out some models within the solution, and we want to educate the client then around what is in the box, but also that allows them to understand. So again, another observation from myself in terms of implementing collection software is it might be a very legacy system that they're coming from. So they're locked into practices that have been bent and molded around a very old solution. So this also allows the client to understand how the QCR product works, and it enables them to make informed decisions on how they want to grow the solution going forwards.
Well, judging by our poll results, certainly our audience agree with you, but certainly everyone who's responded so far agrees that speed of implementation is really important. So I think this really does sort of play to those views of our audience. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, fine. In terms of the Accelerator itself, thinking about sort of different functionalities that as a collector I might typically want. So things like strategies I always find is really important. Yeah. What kind of as I understand it from what you said earlier, some of these things come pre-configured. Yeah. What level of configurability, if I can get my teeth straight, do I have once? So for example, after that 6-7 month period, if I need to change the Accelerator, can I do that, or is that the same? So just to be clear, as part of the Accelerator model, the strategies we would expect to work with the client as a specific area to define with them. So that's there's stubs and examples of strategies in there with some key rules that we've defined and end up defining for most of our clients as we implement the solution. So there is an area there that we can work with the client, but the studio that comes with QCR allows the system to be fully configurable, from adding fields to the UI or moving fields around on the UI through to setting up strategies and segmentation. Activities that the agent might need to perform within the solution can all be configured, set up, parameterized. That's the full intent, is that it's a moldable solution that we put in the hands of our clients. Right. So just to make sure I've understood this, because I see lots of vendors who talk to me about sort of a light version of their product. So what we're saying here is this is not light. This is just a thinner version to allow for speedier implementation, but actually the full power of the platform is still there, right? 100%, yes. And I've seen exactly the same, where it's a stripped down version, hard coded to prevent extensions and so on. That isn't what we've got here. We've got full QCR capabilities, full extendability within the solution. We're just trying to stand it up very early so the client can actually get their hands on it, load accounts into it, start to use it, and then make decisions on how they can extend it further. Okay, great. So let's move on to talking about Cube. And I've got another video to share with you. So let me just get that rolling, and then we can talk about it. Okay, great. So, Tim, tell us a bit more about Cube.
Okay, I'm just going to share quickly, bear with me, just to give everybody a visual to focus on. Okay, so what's Cube? Cube, again, we haven't reinvented the wheel here. We have a platform for decisioning and analytics called Qualco Data-Driven Decisioning, or D3E. What we've been able to do is put a focus with this around the debt collection space. Anybody who's familiar with decisioning platforms knows that decisioning can happen across a client's organization. Doesn't have to be just focused to debt collections, but Cube focuses on debt collections and the optimization of those processes. So the graphic that I put up on the screen just shows that it's driven through historic data, either internal from your collection system or external through credit history, those sorts of things, which can enrich the decisioning process. They're driven into a data warehouse, which is part of the D3 solution. And then what's happened is we've built out standard models within the Cube piece, which focus on early warning. So we can see how clients are behaving or whether their behaviors are changing. And equally, we can drive in optimization within those models to identify the next best treatment based on something that's happened with that case or that customer, and also the next action. So a poignant piece here would be we could drive certain demographic of customers through to the agentless part of the solution to enable them. It might be more appropriate, rather than send letters or emails or SMSs, that they'll probably respond better to an agentless interaction. So that's really where we're going with the Cube solution. So the models that we've really built out. So we talked about what we would class as hyper-personalized treatments, which are really based on know your customer type elements. So that's what's the next best treatment? How do we want to, knowing what demographic of customer that they fall into, we can send them to an appropriate treatment and action based on who they are and how we've interacted with them previously. And that's all based on the outcomes of history that we've gathered on similar demographics and so on. The early warning piece, so we've also built out models and strategies around the early warning piece. So this is more around propensity to self-cure. So what we're looking at here is, do we want to leave these people alone? So we know they're a late payer. Okay, so they pay late every month. Do we care? The ones that we may care about is those that are showing propensity to break. So they might have set up an arrangement, payment plan to clear a debt, but they're starting to pay late. We're seeing behaviours that is showing that they're either close to missing payments or breaking that arrangement. So it allows us to be more reactive and proactive with our customers and engage with them quicker before something really bad happens or they accrue significant amounts of debt. So that's really what Cube is doing within the debt collection space, is driving operational efficiencies and early warnings to allow us to be more streamlined within the debt collections function.
So while I was dancing to the video, the number I spotted in there was 75% increase in digital engagement. which to me is very powerful, right? How did you achieve it, or how does the solution achieve that?
Well, it's not really a stat that's ours. We've got a partner that we work with, Webio, who have passed us that stat, and really that's from those clients, from those cases, customers that are forwarded to the digital arena. We are seeing high volumes of positive response from them in terms of either setting up a promise to pay. Some positive action is coming out of those engagements, and 75%, and I believe it's higher now, from what I understand. So that's quite a lean estimation, but it's a high response, positive outcome to those digital engagements, is what we're hearing.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've spent the last sort of 25 minutes talking about the solutions. What I'd like to do now is actually put you on the spot and say, look, what difference does this really make, right? Because certainly when I talk to vendors, a lot of vendors say similar things. So I'd be really interested to find out what difference this makes, and I'd be interested in our audience as well, sharing some tough questions so that I can ask you them on their behalf, right? So please do use the Q&A button to put those questions to Tim and Nikos. So guys, $64,000 question, right? What I'm interested. Let's say I'm interested in all that stuff. What difference is it going to make to me?
Can I jump in here and just?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So I'd like to just share a bit of a journey to articulate how we expect. So we've talked about these three solutions, but there's potential that they can work hand in hand if you take all three. So just to take you through this journey, and then there's some stats at the end that we can look at. So the journey here is starting with the accelerator, so the QCR product. We are driving the history that we've gathered across cases and customers into Cube. Cube is churning that information, and then establishing a best treatment, a best action, maybe some early warnings, and driving those back into the collections solution. On the back of that, there's some automated resegmentation based on any updates that have happened. And one of those updates might be to identify, so Cube has identified that a certain customer or a number of customers are relevant for an agentless interaction. So then QCR has driven those cases into the agentless portal. There's a communication, there's a level of interaction between a bot and the customer. The outcomes then feed back into the accelerator, which then become history and feed back into Cube. And then there's this cycle of continual sort of automation, optimization through the client's business. And just to, I think, Farid, you brought up the stats, so let's just have a look at what we think is going to happen, or what we understand from other consultancies and partners that we use. So if we look at Cube specifically, we expect some increases in collected debt just by implementing right time, right treatment strategies within Cube. Equally, just simple scoring. So you can risk assess your customers either at onboarding or through the life cycle that they're in debt, and can drive up, again, we're looking at 10% uplift in collections results. We've also got, and actually this third box, the 15%, applies both to Cube and the accelerator QCR, where it's talking about automated strategies that are data driven. We should see an uplift in collection results of 15%. And then the stat there on the right hand side that Farid mentioned, 75%, and it actually talks about 54 to 75. And I'm encouraged that people have told me that these are very lean, conservative numbers that we've got on this screen here. But obviously 75% from interactions on a digital engagement, which shows an uplift in collections, is very significant. So just to bring it to life and give you those stats, I think is very useful.
Okay, I'd like to come back and talk a bit more about these, but we do actually have an audience, a question from the audience member. So perhaps Nikos, you'd like to put some, which is, this seems completely automated. What role do you see a collector playing in this solution?
I think I can take this one. So, firstly, human agents focus on complex cases that require nuanced judgment, like, for example, negotiating and negotiation strategies or sensitive hardship situations where human empathy is essential. Now, secondly, the role is also to oversee and optimize the AI virtual agents' performance. So their expertise helps refine the system's decision-making processes and ensures that our automated responses align with best practice. So we need human agents and their expertise to make the most out of an automated solution. And finally, they handle escalated cases where AI automatically identifies that human intervention would be more effective. So it kind of empowers collectors to use their expertise where it matters the most. So rather than replacing collectors, we're enhancing their capabilities and allowing them to focus on higher value activities that truly require human insight, in my opinion.
Great. And again, it's when I talk to clients, it is a concern, right? For all of us, right? I mean, AI is here. It's only going to get better. We are seeing, we know of large language models. We're going to be seeing more what we call large action models coming up, where some of these activities are now being automated off the back of using the information. So there are genuine concerns, I think, all around. Where do we as mere humans, live in this new world, right? So it's interesting to see how you sort of respond to that. Tim, just coming back to some of these numbers. Are these individual, or are they compounded? So do I get 10 plus 10 plus 15, or is it just 10% across the board or 50% across the board? How should I interpret these numbers?
I would imagine they're individual. So across each of those elements, I would expect improvements within those ranges rather than compounded.
Okay. And in terms of feedback from clients, are they telling you that these things are sort of achievable, or what are clients saying in terms of where some of the opportunities for driving out these improvements are?
Yeah, and I think they speak for themselves in terms of driving cases towards personalized treatment for a customer. Drives optimization as it is. You're not sending out expensive letters and dialer campaigns. You're really targeting a customer based on their circumstances to optimize your operations and make sure you're doing the most cost-effective action at the right time, right? In terms of automation, obviously from an operational perspective, if you're very manual or you're still driving things manually, to take those away from a manual agent or a human agent and automate it will then allow that agent to focus on, things like customer experience, drive up how more focus on more complex cases, a bit like what Nikos was saying in terms of agentless. You're changing the focus and just focusing on the areas of complexity, whereas everything else is driven automatically or driven to a bot. I think my experience with call centers is generally they're overrun. They're very busy. They're struggling. Cases are being parked because they're too complex and too time consuming to manage. So they're the ones that now human agents can focus on, and everything else falls into the automation piece.
Yeah. Certainly, when we talk to clients, as well, around sort of where the opportunities for finding efficiency, it's usually about automating the low value stuff and passing the high value activity to your most experienced resource, which is obviously your people, really, in those regards. Okay. So I asked the question at the very beginning of our audience, Tim, which is how important is cost efficiency in your business? And the responses that we've had, 67% say it's top priority, and 33% say it's important but not critical. So if I was one of those people who is really wanting to drive down costs in my business, okay, what would your advice be as to sort of what should I do next? How should I take this information you provided me with, and what should I do next?
So the things I've sort of marked down are use the data you've got to drive effective decisioning through your solutions. Harness automation. So our products are very much driven towards automating those processes that we can, but we also recognise that there are certain elements that need to be or are better to be done manually. So it's identifying those. We said about smart decisioning. So obviously with consuming history data and knowing your customer better, we can then perform smart decisioning through the debt collections processes. And you know, the effectiveness of how we engage with our clients, understanding who they are, you know, how they're best going to respond to us, I think is critical nowadays. We all use our smartphones or are online for something. So letters, emails, SMSs probably still have their place for certain demographics. We're not going to write those off, but actually there's more efficient ways of communicating with our clients. Obviously, we understand that there's certain maybe regulatory notices or, you know, legal type notices that need to be sent on paper, that still exists. But you know, we need to pick and choose where we're using our expensive methods of communicating and focusing on other methods that can be more online, more up to date, and so on.
Okay, great. So that brings us to the end of our discussion this morning. Thank you very much, Tim and Nikos, for your time, and thank you to our audience for sharing or taking the time this morning to listen to us. I hope you found the information really useful. We will be sending out some information after the webinar, just to give you a bit more detail around some of the things that Tim and Nikos have been talking about, and we'll also send out some contact details as well, so that if you'd like to find out more, you can speak to Tim, Nikos, or other colleagues at Qualco who can give that information. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Take care.